Hello, and welcome to the Pagan podcast with me, Carolyn, a modern-day Druid walking my own solitary path of animism through my experience of being human, offering insights and tips that may help you on your path, all gathered from my own path's experience, which has been about 45 years. I have walked a few paths before Druidry, but always knew in my heart that an earth-based animism path was where I needed to be to experience this lifetime. Animism is Druidry. It's the core foundation that all of us walk, connected to all consciousness, to animals, trees, plants, insects, humans, rocks. Walking a path connected to everything is a wonderful place to be. It's a mindful place. It's a place of personal well-being and a place of calm when needed. So if you are interested in a gentle connection that works with your own beliefs, then come on in. It's all inclusive here. There's no dogma, none of that thou shalt not, and absolutely no judgment. Feel free to say hello in the comments. I read and reply to them all, and I love to hear where you're from and if you have a path that you are walking. Whether you live inland, by the sea, up a mountain, a bit like a hobbit, in a shed, in a high-rise building with a balcony, or with a bit of land around your property, then you are always connected to the earth and all its inhabitants. Now, before I jump into August, I do need to make an apology on last month's podcast. I accidentally called mugwort motherwort. Now, I have no idea why. I know the difference. I've been working with them both for years. Anyway, for some reason, I called it the wrong thing. I have actually put it a bit out on social media, sort of apologising on, did I say something on TikTok or Instagram? I can't remember. Anyway, I was having one of those moments. I will blame the weather. What else can I blame? Anything else? Probably not. I'm not senile, so can't get away with that one. I will say, though, it's growing back, and let's leave it there. If you have your cuppa ready, kick off your shoes and let's take a walk through August. August is a month of transition, a golden bridge between the vibrant energy of summer and the gentle whispers of autumn. Spiritually, it's a time to pause, reflect and align ourselves with the cycles of nature. This month holds a special energy for gratitude, release and renewal. It's a season to celebrate abundance, honour the first of the 3 harvests, both literal and symbolic, and set intentions for the months ahead. On the eightfold wheel of the year, which many of us like to follow, as it's in its simplest form, it gives us something to celebrate every 6 weeks or so. There are 2 names for the celebrations taking place on August 1st. For the Wiccans, and generally witches across the globe, but not exclusively, it is Lammas. It is the first of 3 harvest festivals, and this is the one for grain crop gathering, and the Lammas festival was also about taking on the labour of men, women and probably children to get the harvest in. It was all done by hand before mechanisation, which really, if we think about it, mechanisation wasn't that long ago, and everything had to be gathered in by hand. Conditions had to be as perfect as possible, and today grain water content, or maybe I think it's hydration percentage, that's a better word, is still measured by many farmers to ensure once it goes into storage or is sold or whenever they harvest it, it has the correct shelf life and the correct water content so that it doesn't go mouldy. And strangely enough, today I saw a reel on TikTok by a farmer saying that they were going to have to give up bringing in the harvest for the day because it was just too dry. They couldn't bring the harvest in anymore because the wheat was too dry. You wouldn't think that, would you? Those on a path of Druidry will call it Lughnasadh, and I have covered this a couple of times in previous years, so I will link those different podcasts in the description box below. Otherwise, I'll just go off on a waffle. So why does August feel spiritually significant? Well, first of all, we have harvest energy, symbolising gratitude for what we've grown and achieved. So whether you're out there bringing in crops or you are gathering in your tomatoes, its energy feels abundant. And then there's the seasonal shift. The gradual shortening of daylight hours encourages introspection and deeper connection to our inner world. Rituals for spiritual well-being in August. 1. What about a gratitude harvest ritual? Collect some seasonal fruits, flowers or herbs. Light a candle in a safe space and reflect on what you've harvested in your life this year. What achievements have you had? What lessons have you learned? Relationships maybe. Offer thanks aloud or in writing, and enjoy the food mindfully as a sacred act of appreciation. Sunflower or flower meditation. Sit outdoors near sunflowers or any flower that is local to you, or visualise them in your mind. Perhaps pull up a photo of a favourite flower off the internet to just look at. Imagine their golden faces turning towards the sun, absorbing light and warmth. Breathe deeply, drawing in positivity and releasing any heaviness with each exhale. What about a firelight release ceremony? On a warm August evening, light a small fire or candle in a safe space and write down habits, fears, or thoughts you wish to release before autumn. Safely burn the paper, visualising the smoke carrying away what no longer serves you and anything you need to get rid of. A nature walk of awareness. Take a slow walk in a park, forest or field. Notice the subtle changes, the ripening berries, the shifting leaves, maybe cooler breezes. Let each observation remind you of life's cycles and your place within them. Take your journal and drink and make it a special once-a-month walk. Write your journal in that moment. Draw what you can see and be present in that moment of connection. You don't have to be a great drawer. It doesn't matter if it's just a biro you've taken with you to write on some notepaper. Just draw what you see. Just draw something, because it's about you and your observations. Nobody else is going to see it unless you wish them to. And it's going to go into your journal, and it's about your experience at that moment, in that energy, at that time. And affirmations for August. I honour the abundance in my life and welcome the changes ahead. I release what no longer serves me and embrace new beginnings. I am in harmony with the cycles of nature and my own growth. Working with energies of this month's star signs. The spiritual well-being of Leo is nurturing the inner sun. When it comes to spiritual well-being, Leo is a sign that radiates warmth, courage, and a deep connection to the heart. Ruled by the sun, Leos carry an innate light that can inspire others, but this spiritual journey is about learning to balance that outward brilliance with inner harmony. Leos are natural leaders with a magnetic presence. Spiritually, they embody the energy of the sun, life-giving, bold, and illuminating. This means they often feel called to express themselves authentically, uplift others, and live with passion. However, their spiritual growth lies in ensuring that their light shines from a place of love rather than ego. And later in the month, we move into Virgo. Virgo is about nurturing the soul through earthly wisdom. It's the 6th sign of the zodiac and is often celebrated for its precision, practicality, and deep sense of service. But beyond the surface traits lies a rich spiritual dimension, one that blends grounded wisdom with a quiet, transformative magic. Ruled by Mercury, Virgo's mind is sharp, analytical, and endlessly curious. Yet unlike the airy signs, Virgo's intelligence is rooted in the earth element, making their spiritual journey one of practical enlightenment. They seek meaning not in lofty abstractions alone, but in the tangible. The way a garden grows, perhaps the rhythm of daily rituals, or the healing power of a well-prepared meal. And then we get on to the moons. Now, August new moon date is Wednesday, August the 12th, and it's at 1837 British summertime. and the spiritual well-being of August new moon. Now, August new moon is more than just a celestial event. It's a soulful invitation to pause, reset and realign with your inner truth. In the quiet darkness of this lunar phase, the sky offers a blank canvas, symbolising fresh beginnings and the gentle promise of renewal. The new moon's energy is subtle yet powerful, and unlike the bright illumination of the full moon, this phase thrives in stillness. Spiritually, it's a moment to turn inward, listen to your intuition, and acknowledge the whispers of your soul. August new moon, often influenced by Leo or Virgo, encourages you to balance heart-led passion with grounded practicality. This is the lunar equivalent of planting seeds. The intentions you set now, whether they are for personal growth, relationships, or spiritual expansion, they are infused with the fertile energy of new beginnings. So write them down, speak them aloud, or even meditate on them. The key is clarity and sincerity. The universe responds to focused, heartfelt energy. August new moon is an ideal time to release lingering emotional clutter. Let go of self-doubt, outdated beliefs, and any energy that no longer serves you. You might feel a natural pull towards maybe journaling, breathwork, or quiet rituals that help you shed the old and make space for the new. Spiritually, aligning with the moon's cycle deepens your connection to the natural world. The August new moon often coincides with late summer transitions, such as harvest beginning and days subtly shortening. This mirrors our own cycles of growth, rest, and renewal, reminding us that change is both natural and necessary. Cleanse your space with incense, sage, or simply opening a window to invite fresh air in. Do what you find works for you on your path. Light a candle to symbolise the spark of new beginnings and write down your intentions for the month, focusing on what you wish to grow. Meditate in silence for a few minutes perhaps, visualising your intentions taking root. August new moon is a spiritual reset button, a chance to align with your authentic self and step into the next chapter with clarity and grace. By honouring this moment, you're not just observing the moon's cycle, you're harmonising with the deeper rhythms of life itself. August's full moon falls on Friday the 28th at 6:18 a.m. British Summer Time. This full moon, often called the sturgeon moon by the Native Americans, but for those of us across the UK and into Europe, where the Celtic tribes originated from, it's the grain moon or the dispute moon, taken from obviously the time of the first harvest, but also the dispute moon because Lughnasadh was the time for disputes over land, about taxes, legal contracts, all to be dealt with by our ancestors. The Celtic moon name represented the changing season. They were the agricultural cycles. They captured the specific name of the year to guide the people in their daily lives. Now this moon carries a deep, soulful energy that invites us to pause, reflect, and realign with our truest selves. As summer begins to lean towards the harvest season, this lunar phase becomes a powerful moment for spiritual well-being, offering both release and renewal. It's a time of emotional clarity. The August full moon is known for illuminating what has been hidden, both in our outer lives and within our inner world. Its light encourages us to see situations with greater honesty, helping us to let go of emotional baggage that no longer serves us. This is a time to acknowledge your feelings without judgment and allow them to flow freely, creating space for peace and clarity. Spiritually, this moon is linked to resilience. Much like the ancient sturgeon fish that has survived for centuries, it reminds us that we too have the strength to endure challenges and emerge wiser. This lunar energy supports personal growth, urging us to trust our instincts and embrace the lessons life has offered so far. To align with the August full moon's energy, you might like to try a moonlight meditation. Sit under the moon's glow, focusing on your breath and visualising any negativity dissolving into the night sky. Gratitude practice. Reflect on the blessings in your life, no matter how small, to shift your energy towards abundance. And also think about nurturing your inner self. This full moon is a gentle reminder to slow down and reconnect with your inner wisdom. Whether through quiet reflection, creative expression, or mindful rituals, the August moon offers a chance to restore balance and nourish your spirit before the busier months ahead. And to everybody's favourite part of the podcast, August in the field. It's been very busy, and despite some very hot weather again, the farmer has managed to get into my field with the tractor and top off all the thistles, docks, nettles, everything before they seeded and took over. I also have a lot of ragwort. Now, I don't cut all of this down. Anyone who's listening in who has livestock or horses may now be sucking in their breath because ragwort is dangerous to livestock if eaten. However, it's also the home of the endangered cinnabar moth, who lays its eggs on the ragwort. As someone who walks the path of animism, I balance out the ragwort in the field. Ragwort doesn't flower until its second year, so last year I couldn't see any in the field because it was underneath all whatever grass there was, whatever thistles were growing, nettles, etc. It was hiding very, very well. This year, of course, it has grown up in the field, and as I've scanned round, I've gone, uh-oh, yellow flowers, yellow flowers, yellow flowers. Oh, more yellow flowers. Oh, that's a big patch of yellow flowers. So what I have done is remove as many of the flowers as I have seen them starting to go to seed. This is then going to stop that germination of the next couple of years. And I have left behind as much of the plant as possible, because what will happen is the caterpillars will absolutely destroy the ragwort. And that's brilliant because that's what they need. And then I'm assuming, because obviously you don't get to see these things happen, they will then become the cocoon and fall to the floor and go through winter, I should imagine, tucked under all the grass, thistles, anything that's sort of now has been chopped down. And I suppose you probably think, oh gosh, the horses are going to walk over it. But they, as much as they do, the majority of the ragwort is in my bottom paddock, and the horses this year are going to live in the top paddock. So I'm hoping that somewhere along the line we have managed to save and protect some of the cinnabar moth caterpillars that will become the cinnabar moth next year. Now, for those of you who have been sucking in your breath going, ooh, horses, oh, livestock, cattle, my horses won't touch ragwort. It wouldn't matter how starving hungry they are. Horses are not as daft as you think. They won't touch it. They never have. But I also know that the farmer in the field next door to me has some cattle, and that could cause a problem. And this is why I take the heads off. So don't panic if you're thinking, oh no, her horses are going to eat this. They aren't. The field itself is nearly 5 acres. There's plenty for them to get fat on over summer. The only problem we have now is that as I am recording this, we are coming up to the end of July and we haven't had any rain. I can't remember when we had rain last. It certainly hasn't been in July. So a little story for you. I did arrive one day and I walked down to the field. Now the horses, I think, were in the top end of the paddock, which is the first section, not the bottom bit that's just been topped. And there was this enormous amount of splashing going on, and I could hear this noise in the trough. And I thought, well, that's not the goldfish, unless there's a heron. And if you're thinking, what do you mean goldfish? Just very quickly, there is a goldfish that lives in my water trough. The water trough in my field is 2,500 litres because it used to be a cattle field. So it's the old cattle water trough, and they are brilliant. They keep the water as cold as possible in hot weather, and because they're protected, they're fairly good in the winter as well. Now, the goldfish that lives in there has been in there, the farmer reckons, about 15 years. And it's quite big. It must be at least 12 inches. Anyway, as I'm walking down, I can hear this almighty splish splashing going on. And as I got closer to the trough itself, there in the trough is a blooming great big pheasant. And poor boy is absolutely soaked. I don't know how long he's been in there. He can't get any form of purchase on the side. His wings are soaked. He looked absolutely knackered. And I thought, good grief, I'm so glad I got here, because I could have got there the next morning and he could well have been dead if I hadn't gone down to see the horses for any reason. Of course, then I'm looking at him and I'm thinking I can't get round to him because there's nettles at the back of the trough. I'm thinking, I can't get round the back of you. I'm going to get stung or I'm going to get brambled. The only way I could get him out was to grab one of the fencing posts that the horses had knocked down and get it underneath him and almost like hoik him out from underneath, and not really flick him out because he was too heavy, but give him some way of getting up and out and just shoving him basically over the side, which he did. He jumped out with an almighty row he made, and I thought, oh, well, please yourself. And I thought, I don't know whether he was actually saying thank you or was swearing at me. Anyway, he dived off into the hedgerow, and I assumed overnight that he'd have been quite safe and he'd have dried out. I didn't see him again, and I kept thinking, oh gosh, I hope, fox hasn't caught him. He's been well hidden, whatever. But 2 or 3 days later, I had to move one of the water buckets that funnily enough, I leave 2 or 3 small water buckets, not in the field for the horses, but I leave them in there for the other animals, because I do get munkjack deer come through and the foxes, and I thought, well, if there's some birds or whatever, then there's a couple of ravens, and I thought, well, at least they can sit on the side and they can get some water, because it has been horrendously hot. The day that I found the pheasant in the trough itself was a really hot day. I think we've been up to about 33 degrees. So no, I'm not surprised he'd been in there. I mean, to be perfectly fair, if I hadn't have needed to get home, I think I might have got in that trough myself. It was that hot. So under these water buckets that I'd left for the other animals, I just happened to move one, and I found a very small pheasant feather. Not the big tail feathers or the wing feathers, but a very small one. And I like to think that the pheasant remembered that somebody had rescued him, and that he'd left me a feather behind. And I have it here. It's on my desk, and I'll put a picture of it up on here just to show you. And it was only a little one, and I'd just like to think that was a pheasant's way of saying thank you for rescuing me. And I have seen him since. Well, I believe it's him. There's 2 of them. There's 2 males and a female. So she's a lucky girl. And I haven't seen any babies, though, so I'm assuming somebody's not been that lucky. But maybe next year, if they've survived through the hedgerows over winter, we'll see what happens. Thankfully, we managed to rescue him, and we haven't had anything as exciting since. So, with all that excitement put to one side, here is the footage from the field, some nice relaxing scenes, especially those of the golden hour. So I hope you enjoyed the footage from the field for July. And as we go into August, remember it invites us to celebrate, release and prepare, to stand in gratitude for what we've received whilst making the space for what's to come. By weaving simple rituals into our days, we nurture not only our spiritual well-being, but also our sense of connection to the world around us. Whatever you are doing to celebrate either Lammas or Lughnasadh, or maybe you have your own personal celebration, I hope it's a fantastic month, full of sun, a bit of rain, and I hope it brings you memories, joy, peace, and everything good in your life. Next month we will walk towards the autumn equinox. Now I'm going away for a few days in September to Devon to take my daughter to see her half-brother, who she grew up with. He lived with me for many years, and I will share some photos on Instagram and TikTok. So if you follow me on our adventures on both of those, you'll perhaps see some of the places that we'll be visiting. So until next month, take care of yourselves and all those in your life. Much love and peace in your grove. Until next time, bye for now.